My name is Nigel Kirk, and I live in Bowness in an apartment building specifically for low income individuals where we get together as a community and we do a lot of community activities together as a group. Basic income means that everyone uh, has a right to have their basic needs met, regardless of whether they're working, regardless of whether they're unemployed, regardless of ability. And it's based on the idea that you were born into this world. You should at least be able to feed yourself, clothe yourself, and take care of your mental health. And because we have to pay for prescriptions, I suppose physical health is part of that as well. For me, the biggest issue with basic income is I've always been a homeless rights advocate, human rights and homeless rights. And basic income has the potential to end homelessness, but even if it doesn't, it can help change the stigma towards homeless individuals because they will have the money that is required to participate in society, which means that restaurants will no longer be able to go, oh, you can't come in here because homeless people hang around and never spend money. Homeless people have money, which means that they will be spending it at a lot of these places, which means that they're going to be more welcome in these places and they'll be more welcome in society. And hopefully, if the basic income is sufficient enough, they can get themselves off the streets too. The biggest challenge, obviously, is political will. Basic income is going to require tax revenue, whether it's obtained through a negative income tax and distributed through a negative income tax, or however basic income is done. It is going to require tax money, and nobody likes paying taxes. Um, I'm actually all cool for it, but most people, especially here in Alberta, are against this idea of taxes and this whole taxes are evil. And through that mindset, we tend to ignore this idea that society has a responsibility to look after its weakest and most vulnerable members. So, overcoming the hurdle of political will is the biggest challenge. Within the basic income community itself, there are other challenges as well. It's not just political will from outside. Within basic income, different organizations and different groups have different ideas of what basic income should look like, how it should be distributed, what it should be defined as. Should it include self-care, or should it just include food, clothing, rent? And so there's all those. And as well, if we arbitrarily set basic income at, say, the low income cutoff of 24,500 per year and give everybody that amount, that might not affect the costs of most, say, what I call the staples, the groceries, the bread, the milk, the eggs. But it will also create higher demand for some of the luxury goods, the electronics, the video game systems, the televisions. And when you increase that demand, you will see an inflation of those costs that very well could put those items back outside the affordability of people who are on basic income. So we do need to look at some question as to whether any industry regulation is going to be necessary if we introduce basic income. I should hope it isn't. I'm of the opinion that certain goods should not be regulated. I'm for the regulation of rent, for example, and that's another commodity that could see hyperinflation with the introduction of basic income. And I'm okay with that, but I don't want to tell a butcher how much they should charge for meat. So that's going to be some waters that we are going to have to navigate in introducing basic income. And I think we need to have those conversations sooner rather than later so that no one gets caught off guard once basic income is implemented. I absolutely think even people who are opposed to basic income have a role they can play. They can bring up their concerns about basic income, such as how much it costs and how do we deal with the potential inflation caused by higher demand of goods. Those are questions that need to be answered, and I absolutely think that people who are on the fence about basic income should be asking those questions, because those of us who support basic income, we need to come up with answers. And I only brought up a couple of questions. You might have other questions and concerns. Ask us. We might not have those answers, but we need to find them. For people who are in support of basic income, talk to your politicians, talk to your MLAs, your MPs, talk to people who are in poverty, and ask them how they feel a basic income might enhance their lives. And of course, just keep preaching and putting the pressure on your neighbors to support basic income. It goes beyond just government. We need a whole societal acceptance of this.